Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Today, we discuss a model launched in 2004 that represents the heart and soul of Patek Philippe, descended from the legendary Stern-designed 1932 reference 96. This is the Patek Philippe Calatrava 5196P-001. Now, the 5196 line launched in 2004, and it is the continuation of a long-running lineage that stretches back to the first watches that the Stern brothers designed after buying Patek Philippe out of bankruptcy in 1932. So this watch continues the tradition of integrated lugs, leaf hands, Arabic numerals, small seconds. It's beautifully sized for a modern dress watch in platinum at 37 millimeters in diameter, 8 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 45.6 millimeters, with a surprisingly broad 21 millimeter lug spacing for a traditionally sized dress watch. But that broad lug spacing gives it a very modern stance on the wrist. Now, the strap here is brand new and extremely stiff, so I'm pulling it tight, which exaggerates the width of the watch. It's considerably easier to fit on a small wrist than it appears here. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see this will easily fit underneath a tight sleeve, and you should know, and I'm just going to actually relieve the stress on the strap here. The lugs are far inboard of the edges of my wrist. As the strap softens up and breaks in, this watch will be suitable for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Taking a quick look, and by the way, we'll show the top of my wrist now without the strap pulled tight. You can see I've got plenty of clearance on each side. The strap's a lovely piece, though. It's stiff because it's made of the best material. Large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather. That's always the most expensive cut of the beast. Gloss black. You can see a monotone stitch. We actually have a side here that is folded rather than sheer cut on the bottom calf skin. And you can see no crimping, no gouging. A brand new Patek Philippe factory strap, and as with brand new Patek straps, you have a pull tab spring bar. Your finger will release the strap from the case just by pulling on the tab. We have Patek's traditional matching spade style pin buckle. You can see it is Patek made, signed, and made of platinum to match. I love the center crease down the pin. Attention to detail runneth over. The case is simple, but also true to history. Now, it's funny because when you look at the original Portuguese or reference 325 of 1939 and the Calatrava, or the watch that was retroactively described as a Calatrava, the 96 of 1932, the watches are dramatically different in size, but very similar in style as they came from the same form follows function early round watch era that followed Bauhaus norms. So we have these lugs that are blended into the case band rather than stepped out elaborately. You can see that we have a relatively simple profile, polished on the hood, satin on the side. The bezel is very slightly stepped in, but it has a vertical lip followed by an almost completely flat facet. The crown, signed with Patek's Calatrava cross. You can see the brilliant cut-top Vesselton diamond between the lugs, letting you know that this is a modern-era Patek Philippe in platinum. We have Breguet-style Arabic numerals, a very special treatment that's generally present on extremely special Patek Philippe models. You don't need a complication. You don't need a Nautilus to own a core Patek model. This is the Calatrava to own if you're going to have just one. This is almost like Patek's Moonwatch, Patek's Submariner, Patek's Reverso tribute to 1931. It's the one to own. White gold numerals, white gold hands. They will not tarnish or oxidize over time. It's based on the layout of several famous mid to early 20th century Calatrava designs, or designs that were retroactively identified as such. You can see we have a concentric satin brushed hour track, a dimple style polished minute track outboard. The center dial is what Patek would describe as frosted or opaline would be the term they'd use. There's a wonderful polished chaptering inboard, and we have a sunken small second with radially arrayed Arabic numerals and a sort of matching Breguet font, and then a concentric pattern inboard. Now, the case back does two things. One, it gives you gold, or I should say it gives you platinum, which is as good as gold, only better. But the idea here being they're not cheating you of the precious metal. Now, this watch does give you gold, but it also gives you sapphire. So if you want to know what the caliber 215 movement looks like, it looks like this. Nicely finished, handsome, traditional in its center wheel architecture, And this is an older example featuring the Geneva hallmark, a metal hairspring, and 5-position adjustment. The one in this watch retailed in 2020. It's the same caliber 215, but it has 6-position adjustment, the Patek seal, an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, and as a result, this watch was guaranteed from the factory to run no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day. Now, both watches are 30 meters water resistant. The movement manual wind with a 4 Hz beat rate, 18 pivot jewels, and a free-sprung gyromax style balance has a 44-hour power reserve. You can see, though one is a sapphire display and one is platinum, they both have snap casebacks. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.